A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. My name is Abhishek Singh, and once again I'm here in front of you with the story of a new treaty, another treaty that reshaped the history of India, and this time we are talking about the historical restructuring of the northeastern India. How was the northeast India reshaped by the Treaty of Yanbu? That is, we will be seeing in this particular lecture. But before proceeding further, let me tell you one very important thing, that the first batches of admission for the P2I batch, now that date is over, and now we have started the admissions to the next batches of the P2I. And here, if you are planning to start your preparation or planning to realize your dream of UPSC Civil Services Examination 2024, so guys, do not delay it further, because the 10th of July is the closing date for all the admissions in this batch. So the batches are in all the media like Hindi, English and bilingual. Cost is 70,000, but as usual, if you are using this code ASR live, then you are going to get this at rupees 29,999 rupees. So this is the morning batch. Remember, morning batch. So whosoever wants to get enrolled in the morning batch, they can get themselves enrolled in this particular batch. Now let's get started with the topic. So here, if I talk about the Treaty of Yanbu. So guys, basically Assam region. The Assam region is having richness of the minerals, richness of the nature, rivers, water resources and human resources. Everything is present in the Assam, in the Meghalaya, Manipur, Tripura, all that, all those states of the northeastern region. However, if I tell you that these areas were once upon a time annexed by Burmese kingdom, they had expanded their progress, their power to the northeastern states of India, and they had captured it. However, the Indian state got it back when the British were ruling in India, and there was a war between the British Indian state and the Burmese state, and the treaty that took place as a result of the first Anglo-Burmese war, that treaty is called as the Treaty of Yanbu, right? The Treaty of Yanbu. Okay, so this Treaty of Yanbu, it was actually the peace treaty that resulted at the end of the first Anglo-Burmese war, and it was signed by General Campbell from the British side and the governor of the Ligyang, right? Ligyang Mahamin Hlakwao Hitin, right, from the Burmese side. And which date? This date was 24th of February 1826. Now, if I'm talking about this treaty, let me tell you one very important thing, that if you are able to see this map particularly, you can see here, right, that initially the areas of British control, they were limited to the lower Bengal hills of the Chittagong region. However, after this particular battle, their control areas expanded to the Arakan region, to the Rakhine and Arakan region. And here, if I talk about the Rakhine and Arakan region, these are those areas which are still under dispute, as we are all aware about the issues of the Rohingyas. Okay, so basically the history of the Rohingya dispute, the history of the Rohingya issue, that is hidden in the Anglo-Burmese struggle. All right, how is it hidden there? We will understand in the upcoming slides. Now, talking about some preceding events, that what were the significant events which led to this particular treaty. Now, so if I talk about the preceding events, so basically the English wanted to develop the trade relations with the Burmese kingdom. Why so? Because you know what, the areas in the northeast, particularly if you observe the areas in the northeast, for example in the Vietnam, okay, northeast of what? Northeast of the Malaysian kingdom in the British influence. So the areas in the northeast of the Malaysian kingdom of the British, they were under the French influence. So British wanted to create an entire circle of their occupied regions. They had India, they had Malaysia, they had Australia, but some areas were still under the influence of the French. Some areas were still under the influence of the French power, and that is why the Southeast Asia, the British wanted to completely grab that area. They wanted to, get the hold of the all trade routes leading to the Chinese territory, so that they could have even more trade benefits. Now, this was one of the reasons. The second reason that was that they wanted to gain the full control of the Bay of Bengal. The Bay of Bengal. As you can see here, right, this particular region, as you can see here, the British, they did not have the control of the Bay of Bengal, which means if Burma was allowing the other kingdoms or other colonial powers to do the trade on their coast, so the territories which were located on the Indian coastal regions which were occupied by British, they would be having the danger of the aggressions on the sides of, on the right side or the right banks of the Bay of Bengal, which might be occupied by some other foreign kingdom, some other foreign colonial power. So that is why British wanted to have the entire control of the Bay of Bengal, as well as second thing, they wanted to control the trading routes leading to the Chinese territory, and third thing, they wanted to have the complete Southeast Asia region under their mastery. Got it? So I hope you got the purpose here. Now if I'm talking about, the preceding events, so basically Burmese, they were also an expanding power. They were also having the growing power, because when they occupied the northeastern territories, particularly the territories of say Kingdom of Manipur or Jaintia Hills or the Kachar Hills of Assam, all these areas, so they thought that they have become extremely powerful, and they have become so much powerful that they could even counter the British hegemony in that area. So what happened? Basically, English and Burmese, when Burmese occupied the Kachar Hills, occupied the Jaintia Hills, they occupied the Assam, the parts of the Assam region, particularly the Kachar and the nearby areas. So their kingdom came into the conflict or came into the boundary sharing with the Bengal region, with the Bengal area of the British. Okay, so here I can say one thing, that the Burmese sense, Burmese sense of the false narration of their power, that resulted into the British aggression towards the Burmese kingdom. At the same time, if I talk about the English and the Burmese, they came into conflict with each other over the possessions of the island of Shahpuri. This was the particular reason, this was the exact reason, right? The island of the Shahpuri, that was under the possession of the English forces, right? Under possession of the English. However, the Burmese asked the British that this island should be declared neutral island. British were in the denial mode. They did not accept such a provision. In fact, when the Burmese, they saw that British are not accepting, Burmese attacked the Shahpuri island and they captured that Shahpuri island forcefully. Now this was enough provocation for the British to invade or to wage a war against the Burmese forces. Lord Amherst, Lord Amherst, who was also, he declared the war on the Burmese kingdom, and the war, that was first Anglo-Burmese war, it already started. It already started in the year 1824. Okay, so this was a 2-year long expedition for the British forces against the Burmese kingdom, and it resulted into a treaty, the same treaty about which we are studying today. And this treaty is, again, I'm telling you, the Treaty of Yanbu. What were the provisions of this treaty? Basically, this treaty resulted into the Burma giving up the control over the areas of Assam, Kachar, Jaintia, etc. It gave up all the claims that it will not try to annex these regions. It also surrendered the areas of Arakan, Yeh, Tavoy, Mergui and Tenasserim. Okay, not just these, but it also accepted the Manipur as a sovereign or as an independent state. In fact, Manipur, it had agreed to accept the protection of the British state, and Gambhir Singh was regarded as the king of Manipur by the Burmese authority. Right? If you have to observe these areas, so you can see here the Jaintia Hills, Dima Hills, okay, Karbi Anglong, all right, and the Kachar region. All these areas are basically in the extremely close vicinity of the today's Bangladesh. And here also, if you can see here, right, so this is right, this is basically, if you talk about, this is Manipur. Okay, this is the Manipur, particularly the southern hills or the Dima Hasao hills, okay, in the Assam region. So all these areas were under the control of Burma. Okay, so those who are unable to identify the regions, let me tell you that these are basically, right, Karbi Anglong, that is in the Assam region. Okay, and this is the Nagaland state, this is the Manipur, this is the Mizoram, and this is Tripura. This is Tripura, right? Tripura was more or less occupied by the British already. And not just that, Tripura was mostly, when it was in the form of a kingdom, it was in, you can say, autonomous kingdom, and at the same time, it was partially under the control of the Bengal regime. Okay, so these areas were mostly influenced, or at least they were claimed by the Burmese authorities. Burmese authority had to give up all the claims in these areas. Okay, I hope you got the point here. Now, if I am telling you one thing, not just that they accepted the Manipur, etc., but also they agreed to pay an indemnity of the 1 million pounds sterling. 1 million pounds sterling, my dear students, that was a huge amount even those days, even for the Europe. 1 million pounds sterling, or that was equivalent to 10 million kyat. How much? 10 million kyat. Now, what is this kyat? Kyat was basically the currency of the Burmese kingdom in the year 1826. And let me tell you that the average cost of living, or in fact the average income, not cost of living, average income of a normal Burmese village, right, normal Burmese villager, in that time, it was just 1 kyat per month. That means 12 kyat per year was the income of a normal citizen of Burma. And the Burmese state had to pay how much? 10 million kyat. That means 1 crore kyat. You can understand that what a level of huge amount it was, or it would have been, right? So it was equivalent to the 1.5 crore rupees that was to be paid to the British. In all the currencies, in fact, the Indian currency, Burmese currency, British currency, in all the currencies, it was a huge amount. And the Burmese, they almost crippled, they almost became bankrupt under this particular treaty. This war indemnity was so huge. In fact, Burmese agreed to allow the diplomatic representatives from the British at their capital, Awa, right, at their capital, Awa. Awa was the capital of Burma back then, when the kings were ruling in the British rule. Now, Burmese also agreed to sign a commercial treaty in the due course of time, but somehow what would happen? This treaty, even though it will be implemented in the most honest manner possibly by the Burmese ruler, however, this treaty, this treaty became a humiliating factor for Burma. The Burmese citizens were considered to be one of the most patriotic citizens in the nearby regions. However, this treaty never let them sleep peacefully, and eventually they would try to get rid of this treaty. They would try to make the French settlements in the area, which would further provoke the wars. So if we talk about the significance of the treaty, remember that this treaty, it had quite important significance for both the British as well as the Burmese. For the British, this was one of the longest and the most expensive war efforts, and not just that, 15,000 European and Indian soldiers died. 15,000. Okay, and if we talk about the Burmese kingdom, definitely Burmese had also died in huge numbers, but their numbers were undisclosed. Okay. If we talk about the cost of this campaign, the campaign cost the British Exchequer 5 million pound sterling, roughly about 18.5 billion in 2006 US dollars, to 13 million pounds sterling. So somehow the cost which was incurred upon the British forces as the result of this entire 2 years operation, it was somewhere between 5 million to 13 million pound sterling. Okay, and this is why you will observe that the British would be bringing certain changes in the upcoming Charter Act of 1833. Remember that the trade activities were now abolished, right? And the East India Company, that was given the complete authority to administer the regions whichever it had occupied, and at the same time all the private traders were allowed to trade in India way back in 1813 only, but this time they were allowed to formulate their own companies. They were allowed to trade in the tea or trade in the Chinese territory, right? So you can say that the trade or the market of the Indian colonies, they were completely liberated, they were completely set free for the trade purposes of the British or other European or American traders. However, for the Burmese, this treaty was in fact the beginning of the end of their independence, right? Because we can say that this was just the first in the sequence of 3 different wars. The second war would be in the 1852, the third war would be in the 1885. So this was basically the end of their autonomous status, and it was just the beginning of their end. Completely by 1885, Burma would cease to exist as an independent kingdom. All right, everyone. Now, if I'm talking about the other consequences for the Burmese army, also this was a total humiliation, complete devastating defeat. In fact, at the court of Awa could not come in the terms with the loss of the territories and made unsuccessful attempts to get them back, right? In fact, every person at the Burmese kingdom wanted to have the revenge of this defeat at the hands of the British. Okay, this amount was so huge. That the Burmese, they went into the poverty almost permanently. Okay, and ultimately British would be successful in their effort to control the entire Burmese kingdom. Because of this single treaty, Burma would eventually become the part of India. All right, everyone. So as you can see, the 3 different wars were there with the Burma. So in the first, the Burmese territory lost after the first treaty, the Treaty of Yanbu, the first Anglo-Burmese war. So Burmese lost this entire region, including the modern Meghalaya, modern Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, and the parts of Assam, as well as the southern regions to the Chittagong area of Bengal, and that is called as Arakan region. Those who are not aware about the Arakan region, let me tell you one thing, that this Arakan region, it later became the area of settlement of the Rohingyas. Okay, and who were the Rohingyas, by the way? The Rohingyas were mostly the Bengali Mohammedans or Bengali Mohammedan traders, particularly, who had gone to the lower Burma regions to take the benefit of the vicinity towards the Southeast Asian countries, and they were mostly the settlers who came from the different parts of the Bengal as well as the different parts of the other country. Most of them were the followers of Islam, and they settled in the lower regions. Not just that, after the Second Anglo-Burmese War in the 1852-53, the lower Burma was also annexed. Okay. In the first Anglo-Burmese War, that is the Treaty of Yanbu, even the lowest part, the most southern part of Burma, called as the Tenasserim region, that was also occupied by the British. And after the third Anglo-Burmese War, the entire Burma region, which is called as the Upper Burma, you can see this is the capital, Awa, and this is the most important city, Mandalay. These two areas, they fell into the regions of Upper Burma, and they were also occupied by British in the 1885. So dear students, from 1885 up to 1937, Burma was the part of India. Burma became the part of British India. All right, everybody. So I hope that you all got to learn about a lot of new things, and very soon we will be coming up with the new treaties, with the new events which reshaped the Indian history. Definitely, Bajrangi, I would be coming up with the history of Odisha as well. And if you love this lecture, if you find this lecture useful for your examination, useful for enhancing your knowledge, then definitely do not forget to share this lecture with your friends as well. And if you like this lecture, then do hit the like button as well. And guys, let me tell you one more thing, that if you are preparing for the civil services examination and willing to get enrolled into the morning batch, so we are starting the July morning batches, which are taking the admissions up to the 10th of July, right? So these batches are starting on 10th of July, and you can get yourself enrolled as per your convenience. If you are a Hindi medium student, you can enroll in the Hindi batch, or if you are an English medium student, you can enroll in the English medium batch, or you can also enroll in the bilingual English batches. Do not forget to use this code ASR Live. Why? Because this is my code ASR Live, and if you are watching my class, if you are using my code, this will give you a great advantage in the fees, which is rupees 70,000, right? However, this 70,000 will be having a lots and lots of offering for you, because the P2I batch will be covering the benefits like the complete GS preparation, the preparation for the mains examination, and we will be calling you here at Delhi StudyIQ campus, and we will be giving you the entire cost of residence, food, accommodation, everything will be provided from the StudyIQ. You just have to study properly. You just have to get guidance under our coaching centers basically. So we will be also giving you the interview guidance. Apart from that, it will be a complete program connecting you from the prelims stage and leading you up to the interview stage, right? So that is one of its kind, one of its opportunities which are not available easily. So take benefit of this opportunity. All right, everyone. So thank you so much for watching it. And I hope that if you are not aware present on this new lecture basically, so you can have this, right? You can have this particular, right? Just a second, everyone, right? Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye and have a great day ahead. Let's meet in the tomorrow's lecture. Till then, take care. Bye-bye and thanks a lot.